Hi everyone, welcome to Basic Science Series. I'm your host Lokendra Kumar, and today I will be discussing toll-like receptors. In this video, I'll explain what are toll-like receptors, what are different types of toll-like receptors, and what are the ligands for those toll-like receptors. So without any delay, let's start the video. So let's start the video and let me write the topic, which is toll-like receptors. As the name indicates, toll means a checkpoint. So anything that is entering inside our body need to be basically checked by the cellular system. For that, we need sensory receptors, and toll-like receptors are some of the important sensory receptors to have that particular check so that we don't get infected with bacteria, virus, or fungal infectious agents. So this is the typical structure of toll-like receptor. As you can see, it has a hook-shaped structure. The hook part is the extracellular part, and the middle region is the membrane region, or you can call it as a transmembrane region, and the inner one is the cytoplasmic kinase region. So you can say it has this distinct division of three different regions. Now, why toll-like receptors? They are important because they need to detect the bacterial antigens, they need to detect fungal or viral antigens, they need to detect other infectious agents. Our system, we have immune system, and immune system doesn't allow foreign particles or organisms to come inside the body and cause disease. To check that, we have the toll-like receptor network. And we have number of toll-like receptor, and obviously they are going to work together to detect various infectious agents, and they are important to generate the immune system. Now, if we talk about receptors, we need to also talk about the ligands for those receptors. So one by one, I'm going to discuss each toll-like receptor and their ligand. It is important. It is one of the important question that can be asked in any competitive exam, and this question is also important if you are doing some kind of a research on immune system. So toll-like receptor, it can detect lipopeptides. They are present on the outer membrane of the bacteria. There are some soluble factors that can be detected by these toll-like receptors. So for one, lipopeptide. For two, TLR2, it can detect lipopeptides basically from the bacteria. It can detect zymosan. So let me write it down, lipopeptide, and it can detect ZY-MOSA and zymosan, which is the part of the fungus. It can detect necrotic cell. And why necrotic cell? Because our system needs to get rid of all the dead cells. So we need to recognize them differently. So we have toll-like receptor 2. TLR3, it can detect viruses, especially what component of the virus? Double-stranded RNA viruses, not the single stranded. So we need to have the differentiated system where we can basically we can differentiate between double-stranded RNA and single-stranded RNA. So TLR4 is typical for lipopolysaccharide, but it can also detect fungal mannans and heat shock proteins. TLR5 is also exclusive for flagellin. Till date, it is known that TLR5 interacts with the protein, bacterial protein, which is flagellin, and activates the downstream signaling pathway, which further activates the immune regulatory molecules. Now, TLR5, flagellin, which is from the bacteria, especially from the motile bacteria, because flagella is required for the motility. TLR6, lipopeptides and zymosan. If you remember, we have discussed TLR2, where lipopeptides and zymosan is being detected by TLR2. TLR6 also detects this, so they work in conjunction with each other to detect these molecules. TLR7, single-stranded RNA from the viruses. So if you want to detect the double-stranded RNA, TLR3, single-stranded RNA from the viruses, TLR7. TLR8, it can also detect single-stranded RNA molecule and some of the small molecules. TLR9 can detect the bacterial unmethylated DNA, CpG DNA. So it can detect the specific type of DNA molecule, and all these receptors, they can play an important role in case of our immune system functioning. If this whole system crashes, we will not be able to recognize the organisms that is trying to enter inside our body. Our immune system will not be able to respond against those, and what will happen that our body will collapse eventually. So every receptor, every protein has a specific role to play, and with knockout studies it has been proposed that various functions of the proteins are there. Till date it might be only known that TLR play an important role in case of recognition of antigenic molecules, but in future maybe we'll find out that they have other role to play in our immune system, in other system. So there are various proteins that are still mysterious to us, but we were able to identify their function, but still they can be playing multiple roles and they can be protecting us from multiple types of infections. So with that note, I'll just conclude this presentation. I hope that now you have a good idea about the toll-like receptors. In future, I'll bring more videos. Till then, take care.